Good morning, Dr. Fox. Thanks again for spending some time with us today. And I want to ask you a specific question about between point or between points rituals. And I know that you've mentioned that you do address this in, I believe it's chapter 6 in your book Tennis, Winning the Mental Match. And when I feel like I'm playing my best tennis, especially against better opponents, it seems like if I can really manage that time between points, and for me, if I sort of go through the same routine, call it a ritual, it really kind of helps me, I think, sort of set up to play the next point as sort of, I wouldn't say calmly, but at least as less stress free as possible. And my between points ritual is sort of a four-part thing. I mean, I really try after the finish of a point to try to really not have any super high or super low emotional response. And it might sound a little corny, but I actually try to go to the hook of a song. I'm kind of partial to Van Morrison myself, and I'll just for maybe 3-5 seconds, I'll kind of just kind of hum the song to myself. After that, I'll try to take 2 or 3 deep controlled breaths. If the point's been a long point, I obviously need to do that. But if it's been a short point, I still like to go through that as sort of part two. Then step two is really, I should say step three then is really just, is there any specific strategy I want to think about or use to start the point? I really try to stay away from, well, here's what I'm going to do to win the point. I try to keep it away from the results type of talk. But and then the fourth thing is really just kind of a positive little self pump. Just something like, here we go, we can do this. And so really, what I want to ask you this morning, Dr. Fox, is what do you think in general about between points routines, and specifically, what do you think about the routine that I go through?
Well, first, the routine you you just passed on to me, I think is excellent. It very much mirrors my own experience and thoughts in chapter 6 of my book. You're in essence doing exactly what I would suggest. Uh, in that, at the end of a point, I mean, the deal is essentially when you're competing, you're trying to get control of the emotion, and you're trying to not go up and down too much point by point, since you lose every other point. So your starting point where you don't react to the outcome of the last point is absolutely the best thing you can do.
Good.
No reaction.
Okay.
Uh, Federer is great at that. But, some people react positively if the last point went well. I don't particularly advise it for most of the time because it's exhausting. You do go up and down. Some people can do it, get away with it. Most of the top players, historically and even today, don't react at the end of the point. Uh, and so, for most points. And then the relaxation in between, you got about 20 to 30 seconds, nothing's happening, a couple deep breaths, great idea. A deep breath, hold it for a few seconds, relax. It lowers your blood pressure a little bit and lowers your heart rate, which is what you want to do. Then as you get near the either receiving or serving position, now you're trying to set up an emotional state that's positive for the next point. Meaning you got to get yourself a little up. You got to get slightly excited, but not too excited.
Right. Right.
And then instead of focusing on whether you're going to win the point or lose the point, you focus very narrowly on the keys that get you started in the next point. For instance, if it's a serve return, what I would suggest, you've got 2 or 3 things you want to do on a serve return. One is you want to have a short backswing. 2, you want to have flexible hands. You don't want to be stiff-handed because you're going to have to adjust to balls that are in awkward positions. And 3, you want your weight to go forward. So those are the keys. So, I would pick out 1 or 2 of those, and you sort of repeat them to yourself. And then you focus in on the ball. You watch the opponent throw it up if it's a serve return, and you try to watch it come off the court, and you're in a good emotional state, and you're trying to throw your weight forward.
Right.
And that's it. From there, the point, develops by habit and response to whatever your opponent's doing. But you don't want to think your way through the whole point. You just want to get the process started as well as you can, and then the habits take over.
Do you do anything else differently when you're changing sides of the net as opposed to between points? When you change sides, you've got, I guess, in theory, about 90 seconds. Do you like to go through the same kind of ritual or the same type of routine in terms of, you got your towel, you got your liquids? Is there really kind of a specific routine that you like to go through when you change sides?
Not particularly. Basically, changing sides, nothing much is happening. You're having your drink and you're relaxing for a few moments. It's a time when you can sort of review your strategy, see how it's working. If there's any little adjustments you need to make, you try to assess. If you're losing and you're losing points, you try to figure out how you're losing them.
Right.
First thing you ask yourself when you're losing, when you're behind, is, am I losing because I'm missing, or am I losing because he or she is hitting too many good shots?
Right.
You have to answer that question first before you start making strategic changes, because those are two totally different situations.
Okay.
And the responses are the opposite. If you're losing because you're missing too many shots, you got to give yourself a little more safety. And if the other player is blowing you out, then you may need to step it up so that they can't do that. You take a little more risk. That's the essence of it. The between point thing, so you don't have to control the emotion terribly tightly when you're changing sides. You've got a minute and a half or whatever. When you're between points, you do need to control the emotion, because you're going to be playing very shortly in the next few seconds. And so emotional control and emotional direction helps you play better. So you're specifically working on the emotion there. Between games, you relax and look more strategically.
Right.
It's the few seconds before the point starts where the emotion needs to be proper.
Right. Good. Okay. Well, these are great tips. I appreciate your time this morning.